welcome to Yin for Hips. We're going to practice a brief Yin Yoga practice today that will focus mostly on the hip area. As always, I like to have blocks, a strap, a bolster on hand. You can also use a yoga ball or a footstool or another chair that helps to simulate bringing the floor up, or like you're being on the floor. So let's start into our chair. Start in our chair with the feet grounded in. Nice long spine. We'll take a few deep breaths together as we get ready for this practice. So just letting go of all the things that have been going on throughout the day, maybe even throughout the week, and setting them all aside, and anything that might be waiting for you afterwards, setting it aside also, as you can choose to pick that back up later if you want. Let's take a few deep breaths together. So inhale, lift the arms up overhead, gaze towards our palms. Exhale, release the arms down to the side, chin down to the chest. Two more just like that. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, lowering. And one more time, inhale up. And exhale down. And we'll start just to warm up the hips a little bit just by windshield wipering the knees from side to side. And just like sitting on the chair, sitting on the blanket on the chair, helps to make the movement from side to side go a little bit better. One more time like this. And we're going to take another version of this windshield wiper. So take the feet nice and long and straight. I like to hold on to the chair for stability. Pull the toes back towards the knees. And then windshield wiper the feet from side to side this way. You might feel this working its way all the way up to the hips. I had a student in a wheelchair class once who would say, okay, now reverse directions, whenever we did this pose. So I always think of him. Fabulous. Bring the feet back in. So we're going to start with our butterfly pose or collar pose. So this is a great one where I like to build my little tabletop or my little footstool with my blocks on their highest setting and bring the bolster on top of it. So if you have another chair in front of you or a footstool or the yoga ball off to the side, that's always an option. So we can bring the soles of the feet together and you can bring your little Lego building here as close as you like. Bring the feet in as close as you want to in the body. And just very gently press the knees down towards the sides. And the hands are going to come to the shins or wherever you feel comfortable and safe in this pose. So just take a big breath. And on the exhale, hinge forward. Stop where you feel safe, where you're feeling an edge to the pose. You can let the chin rest on the chest. And we're going to stay here for a few minutes, 2 or 3 minutes. You can make it dynamic if you want to inhale, lift up, and then exhale, fold a little deeper. And however close you want to bring the heels into the body is completely up to you, wherever you're most comfortable. This is a great alternative for anyone who has difficulty getting up and down off the floor. And just staying with your breath. And just as we know with the practice, our Yin practice, we're just holding the pose for a little bit longer than you normally would in a Hatha class or even in a Vinyasa class, definitely in a Vinyasa class. So we stay in the pose, staying with our breath, allowing the pose to get deeper into the body, deeper into the muscles and the tissues. But for many, this is a practice for quieting the mind, which can be quite challenging when we first start out. You start to feel agitated, uncomfortable. The pose starts to show up physically in a way in the body that's not comfortable, but isn't painful or creating any sharp pains, just Keep breathing through, sitting with that discomfort for just a moment, telling the body that it's safe, it's okay to release and let go. And just keep bringing your attention back to the breath that's here in this present moment. You may even find yourself able to fold a little bit deeper as you stay in this moment, as you deepen your breath. I'm going to stay here for about 4 more very deep, slow breath cycles. And very slowly on the next inhale, work your way back up towards seated. Very nice and slow. We'll take the feet down to the side. I'm going to go ahead and bring my blocks off and out of the way. We'll make our way into caterpillar pose briefly. So extending the legs long, they can stay on the floor. They can stay propped up on blocks. You can bring them up to a chair in front of you. I'm going to go ahead and bring my bolster here in between for just a little bit more support. And hinge at the hips, coming forward, letting the legs come, the back of the legs, feel some lengthening. You might even find it show up a little bit more in the low back. We won't stay in this pose for as long as we did our butterfly pose. Just feel the breath moving into the back body. And because we're going to move in our next pose, we're going to move into something a little bit similar. We'll just stay here for 2 more deep, long, slow breaths. And then just very slowly make your way back up towards seated. Beautiful. So we're going to cross over the leg. Crossing it as much as you can over it. Not where the ankle's on the thigh, but as much far over as you can. Maybe wrapping the leg around. We're just going to take a half a shoelace. So you might even be able to find your leg up a little bit higher on the thigh. And just take a big deep breath. And on the exhale, fold forward. You can make room with the belly by pushing some of the flesh aside. Keep breathing through any resistance. And we'll stay here for about 4 more deep, long, slow breaths. We're going to take another variation of the pose, moving in towards a seated pigeon, but just stay here for 2 more breaths. And then just very slowly make your way back up to seated. We're going to take this leg, bring it all the way to the thigh now, so that the ankle's resting just above the knee. Very gently press the knee out towards the side, very similar to how we did our butterfly. Take a big inhale and hinge at the hips, come forward. Find a place of comfort here. Your hips are talking to you. That's okay. Just honor the body. We're not trying to do anything to cause harm or too much pain. We just want to find that edge. So just keep breathing through the pose. You're starting to clench the jaw or clench the shoulders up towards the ears. Just try to be mindful and release and relax as much as you can. A little bit longer, we're almost there. Two more deep, slow, long breaths. And bring yourself back up to seated. Let that foot come down to the floor, stump it out a little bit, stimulate the capillaries in the foot, get a little blood flowing. And we'll take it to the other side. So extend the other leg, cross it over, or maybe you cross it up higher, whichever fits in your body best. Taking a big deep breath, tucking up the belly, find your forward fold. So you might notice one side was a little different than the other. One might be tighter, one might be easier. It's perfectly normal. Three more deep, full, slow breaths. And then just slowly make your way back up towards seated. We're going to bring that ankle up towards the thigh. Very gently press the knee down towards the floor. Take a big inhale. And hinge at the hips. Find your forward fold here in your seated pigeon pose. You might find your way making it all the way over, kind of waterfalling over the legs, or you might just have a slight fold, a slight hinge at the hips. Either way is fine. It's your body honoring how it's showing up for you today. Being aware, being cautious that And while we're focusing on not tensing up the area that we're working on, that the tension isn't showing up in another part of the body. Focusing on the exhales, perhaps inviting them to be a little bit longer than the inhales. A little bit longer, about 3 more deep, slow breaths. And then very slowly bring yourself back up to seated. Let that foot come back down to the floor. Stump it out. Make any movement that feels good in the moment. Let's take the feet a little bit wider. Happens every time I drop my water. Take the feet a little bit wider on the mat. Toes pointing out to the sides. I'm going to bring a block in here to the center underneath my nose. So take a big inhale. Reach the arms up. And then on the exhale, hinge at the hips, forward fold. Hands can come to the block or to the floor. Lots of 3 different options of the height for the block, whichever is easiest for you. And then just kind of sway a little bit from side to side, loosening up anything in the low back and the hip area. So twists are another great way to get into the hips. So we're going to plant the right hand underneath the nose, and on the inhale, reach the left arm up as high as you can. Taking a twist, turning the body out towards the left. So if the arm isn't comfortable reaching all the way up, you can bring it to the hip. As long as we're turning our chest out to the side. And just staying here for about 6 more breaths. And then exhale, bring the left hand down to the block, and we'll inhale the right arm up. And again, you can bring the arm to the hip. You can reach it up towards the ceiling. Anything that feels good. And just notice where you're feeling the sensation of this pose. Four more deep, slow breaths. And then exhale, release. And just let the crown of the head go towards the floor and just wiggle it out little by little. Bring the hands up to the knees and then just slowly ease your way back up to seated. So we're gonna work our way into a squat. So squat pose can be really challenging for some students. Their knees don't wanna bend all the way. They can't feel it's too much in their ankles to be standing. So I love a squat in a chair. So I bring 2 blocks, I put them on their highest settings. If you have more blocks and you want to take it up a little higher, that's always an option. So I take it about a little bit wider than the chair. I bring the feet up. I wiggle my body into the space. And then we have our squat. So sometimes if I have extra blocks, bringing my feet up a little bit higher gives me a little bit of a deeper sensation. So you always see people in their yogi squats with their elbows all the way to the knees. But my tiny arms, my Tyrannosaurus arms, don't make that happen, so that's perfectly fine. So I just kind of make room for my belly in between the thighs. I put too much pressure on that one. There we go. And you can stay here in this very safe squat. We're really getting the same hip opening as we would. We're just being kinder to the knees. And it's gonna just not cooperate with me today. So another option is you can bring the right hand to the inside of the thigh, take another twist, reach up with the left hand. And then you can switch to the other side if that feels good. Or bring the hand back behind in a bind. Lots of different options to play with in your body. or staying in the squat. And we'll just stay here for a little bit longer. Just keep breathing through it. Two more big breaths here. And then we'll bring ourselves back up to our seated position, our seated Tadasana. And then let's windshield wiper the knees from side to side once again as we did before, because it feels good. Our hips got lots of attention. I'm gonna give them some nice love. All right, I'm gonna take my feet a little bit more than hips distance apart. Take a big inhale. And on the exhale, forward fold. Let the belly and the chest come to the thighs. The hands can come to blocks. They can come to the floor. They can rest on the knees. And just letting the crown of the head fall down towards the floor. For a few resting breaths. Two more rounds of breath here in this forward fold. And on the next inhale, just slowly bring yourself back up to seated. Last pose before our Shavasana is we're going to find another twist. So bring the right hand to the left leg, the left hand back behind the chair. Inhale, nice long spine. Make sure both knees are projecting forward. Maybe the gaze comes out over the left shoulder. Just big breath in towards the belly. One more round of breath, please. And then exhale, release. We'll take it in the other direction. Right hand to the back of the chair, left hand to the right knee. Lengthen the spine and exhale, twisting deeper. Make sure both knees are coming forward. One more deep breath. And then release, come back into center. Go ahead and find whatever is a good resting pose for you. So I like to sit back into my chair a little bit more. My chair is against the wall so I can rest my head. I can even bring my feet up onto a blocks. Let my hands fall down to the side, close the eyes. And just find whatever Shavasana is best for your body today. And just softening the forehead, having the eyes closed, maybe the eyes roll away from the eyelids. Softening the space between the eyebrows, softening the temples, softening the cheeks. Allow the jaw to unhinge. Soften the neck, the throat center, and let the breath travel from the top of the shoulders all the way down the arms to the fingertips. Softening the heart center, the rib cage, and the belly. And then breathing in and all around those hip sockets, the hips area that we've worked so hard on today. And let the breath travel down over the tops of the thighs, down towards the tips of the toes. any distracting thoughts start to creep in, just send them on their way, bringing the attention back to the deep inhales and the deep exhales of your breath. Allowing the body to feel at rest and peaceful for as long as you like. And just take this moment to be yours. And as always, I thank you for joining me today. Peace be with you.